Grayson Greiner and talk some Carolina baseball. The Gamecocks came to Charleston last night and took down the Citadel, and they'll eye the weekend series beginning tomorrow with Morehead State coming to town. Hey, brother.
What's up, man? Did you go to the game last night?
So I was planning to go to the game. My wife's leaving town this morning, and then I had a couple of things come up work-wise that pretty much backed me up. So I would have been calling it close, and I said, you know what? I'll just stay here. I'm going to see them plenty this year. So I wish I would have gone, but, it's nice to go see a win.
Yeah.
But I know it was a good crowd, and I know there's a bunch of people that ended up making it down there. I know Blake Cooper got down there. They got him on the radio with Blake. I think Drew Meyer went. I don't know. A bunch of people went. Yeah. So, they won, Grayson. Charleston's been a difficult place to play over the years for the Gamecocks. They had to survive last year. I think it was 2022. The Citadel beat them down here. So I thought, well, you got all these guys out. You never know. They actually played, I thought, a pretty complete ball game last night.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch much of it. I tuned in for maybe the last 2 innings or so. I was giving lessons all night, and I just watched on the drive home. But looks like they swung the bat well, got up into double-digit 13, 14 hits. Didn't get to see who got those hits. I saw Petrie hit a home run. Stone hit a home run, but good confidence builder after the tough weekend against Clemson, and hopefully they can keep going and hitting such a momentum thing and contagious. So when you see your teammates getting some hits, it becomes contagious throughout the lineup. And got to get hot going into SEC play with one more non-conference weekend coming up.
Yeah, Jarvis Evans was the winner last night. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. It was his best performance by far in a Carolina uniform. West Ashley, Zach Russell got in there and threw well. Aiden Palmer, the freshman, or I guess he'd be a soft. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he's classified as, but out of South Florence, the lefty. And then they got Kimball in at the end to get him an inning or two. Yeah, I've been concerned. There's no question. You obviously you get swept by Clemson, Grayson, and that's going to get people all riled up and understandably so. But I've been more concerned on the injury front. They got another one last night. Maybe we'll get an update on Gavin Braylon, the catcher, who slid feet first and somehow caught the ball and went right into the wall of the dugout. Yeah. And so he's, hopefully we get some updates on that maybe today or tomorrow. But to your point a moment ago about hitting is contagious, and when you're not hitting, that can be contagious too. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that's kind of what's been going. This group is I'm not saying that they've got an elite lineup. That's not what I'm getting at. But they're much better than what they've been doing over the last few ball games. Even though Clemson, you tip their cap, and those guys really had a great weekend. They threw it well. There's no doubt. But they are better than that, and we know that. We've seen them. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you're going to have to play some young guys and you're going to have to deal with some injuries, at least for the time being, you're going to have to find a way to produce some runs, Grayson. And all these guys have played a bunch of baseball thus far. Maybe last night gets them going.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, we haven't seen, with Coach Maneri's style so far, these midweek games and some of the non-conference games against, not the Clemsons of the world. He's getting a lot of guys in there. I think there's only one position player that we haven't seen this year. And, back to the catching situation, I did get to see that play by Braylon. What an incredible play. Easily could have been a situation they were up, 8 or 9-1. He just lets that ball land, but goes full speed, lays out, and makes an incredible catch. I hope he's okay. But to your point, with Talmadge out, and now it looks like maybe Braylon out, the good news is we've seen Bakes and Coffer play. It's not like they haven't gotten it bad or haven't gotten innings behind the plate to this point. We're 13 games into the season. If they hadn't gotten any experience to this point, you'd be a little concerned, especially if Talmadge and Braylon can't go come SEC play. And that goes for other positions on the roster too. Bo Holland's just starting to get some at-bats. Carry-on's getting consistent at-bats. There's a lot of guys, but to your point, you're hoping that the mainstays in the lineup start hitting up to their potential. And I feel confident that they will. You go through stretches in the season where you scuffle a little bit, and Coach Maneri's teams historically have gotten better as the season has gone on. They're about to start playing teams like Clemson every single weekend. So you're going to face elite arms every single weekend. Just stringing together good at bats. I think the main thing is just, passing the baton and not trying to do too much at the plate. I think the Clemson series, Carolina had 5 hits every game. So just stringing together some more good at bats, some more hits. And I feel good and confident that that's going to click here soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's talk about Bo for a minute. He's an elite first baseman, especially for being a young guy, very similar to KJ over at third. Young guy can really dig it up out there. But offensively, he's a freshman. So, I mean, you hit in this league as a freshman, you're going to run into some tough – it's just going to be tough. I mean, it's just the way that it is, and you're going to have to find a way to fight through that. But, Bo is, with his 3 hits last night, he seems to kind of see the entire field. Grayson, That doesn't mean you can always hit to the entire field, but he certainly has an understanding of what he's trying to do up there. And Coach Maneri had mentioned, I talked to him before the season, and he said, hey, look, this is a kid, same thing with Scobie, really high. This is the future of the program, but it's going to take them some time offensively to get things figured out. So now that we're 14 games in, coming off of 3 hits last night, maybe with some of the injury stuff, you might actually see him in the lineup a little bit more than maybe they had projected at this point. But Bo Hollins, you've seen him play a lot of baseball over the years. So give us your opinion.
I'm extremely high on Bo. I'm good friends with his high school coach, Mark Bonnet, and Bonnet said he's one of the best players he's ever coached. And Bonnet's been coaching in this state for 20, 25 years over at White Knoll and then at River Bluff. He's just such a good kid. I hit with his brother Bubba a lot in the off season and gotten to know Bo, and he loves Carolina. He's exactly what you look for in a first baseman. 6'4", 220, switch hitter, great defender, left-handed defender. There's just a lot to work with there, and I'm really excited to watch his career. But, I mean, like you said, with some of the injuries, we might start seeing a little bit more than we anticipated here early. Is a good confidence builder for him to get 3 good solid hits last night. I only saw the last hit he got, but he drove it into the left center field gap. He looks like a guy that when he's going well, just like a lot of hitters, when you're going well, you're able to drive the ball to that opposite field gap, not pulling off the ball. So good confidence builder for him. The defense is always going to be there. But as he continues to get some at-bats, I think that confidence will only continue to grow. It'll be interesting to see what type of opportunities he gets come league play. And I think a lot of that will be dependent on the injuries.
Yeah, I agreed. And I think we're going to get Kennedy back this weekend, hopefully. That's the plan. LeCroy is going to be out, and we'll see where he's at next week. Haven't heard anything on Dalton Mayshore yet. But, with these young guys, you obviously you want them to have to participate and play in big moments, and you want to see how they do in those moments. And obviously everybody hopes that they produce, but sometimes they're not going to produce. So, I find it interesting when – with all these guys, like you mentioned a minute ago, that Coach Maneri has written into the lineup here, either giving guys a chance or injury related or whatever it may be, I find it interesting to watch which moments they do perform in and which moments they don't perform in, because when you get an SEC play, literally every single time that you come to the plate is a big moment. Every one of them. I mean, it's crazy how every pitch in the SEC feels so tense. And so I'm always curious as to how coaches prepare these kids so when they get into those type situations, they don't feel it.
Right.
They don't feel it. They feel like they're hitting up 7-0 in the 4th inning of a game at the Citadel. And it's hard to get young guys there, but at some point in time, the good players always crack through that.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way to simulate it. Heard Coach Maneri talk about the pressure he puts on guys in practice and in scrimmages just to try to simulate that. But an empty Founders Park with your coaches yelling at you is a whole lot different than 10,000 Texas A&M fans chanting ball 6 at you. So there's really no way to prepare for that moment other than to just be in that moment, and that's the best way to learn. And the good thing is guys like Scobie and Hollins that are true freshmen, that have never played in that environment, they're getting their opportunity and they're seeing, KJ Scobie's probably never played he's never played in Clemson with a record attendance with a bunch of people in orange and purple screaming at him. Yeah. And now he has. So he's going to hopefully learn from that experience, and all these guys are going to learn from that experience. And like you said, there's only so much you can do in your friendly confines with nobody in the stands to prepare for pressure-packed situations, bases loaded, 2 outs in the 6th when you're down 1. I mean, that's the only way to learn from it is to do it. So I think this past weekend, 1 is a good learning experience. 2, I think it'll make these guys hungry to say, hey, we're not going to let that happen again and continue to get better.
Yeah, I was no question. I was talking to Blake Cooper yesterday. I was telling him, I said, man, this kid at Morehead State, he's like 3rd in the country in home runs, 4th in the country in RBI. They're hitting the cover off the ball. He said, Blake talks, Google their field. And I was like, what? And so I Googled their field, and I now I see what he's talking about. Oh, beautiful Morehead, Kentucky. I don't think I've ever seen a college ballpark like this, Grayson. There's been some awkward ones that I've played in and been in, like old College Park in downtown Charleston, but that was a graveyard. Right field is like 250 feet, and it goes on a straight line to center field. And before your podcast this weekend, Google it. So that might give you a talking point on the air. I'm telling you, you're looking at this, you're like, what? It's like somebody just cut off a tree line, and they're like, well, the son of a bitch. You know what? Right field isn't going to be deep enough. The hell with it. Just put the wall there.
Yeah.
So, they're going to have some challenges, maybe this weekend. Morehead State almost beat Louisville, the other night as well, and things like that. Let me ask you a question about Petrie. First-round draft pick, one of the best hitters in the country. All that we know all the accolades and all the expectations. If I was, and I'm not trying to be in any way, shape, or form at all, Grayson, dismissive of any player in this lineup that hits in front of him or behind him. And I'm not saying that this can't be a scenario that comes to, makes itself a truth here, hopefully starting tomorrow. But if I'm in the opposition, and I was a little surprised by the Citadel last night going after him, I'm not throwing to him because he is the one guy who literally can carry the entire club right now on this group. Again, not being dismissive. I don't mean it that way. Mm-hmm. But until somebody else proves that they consistently can do something remotely close to what Ethan Petrie is capable of doing, I'm not going to let him beat me. So that's just me, though. Once you get into SEC play, you will be challenged because all those guys are going to the league too. So how do you anticipate the opponents as we are moving forward towards the Southeastern Conference and some incredibly difficult non-conference midweeks like the College and North Carolina? How do you anticipate them handling Ethan Petrie?
It's tough. Like when I was calling some of the games early this season, there were some spots, I think, against Milwaukee and Sacred Heart where I'm just like, you cannot pitch to this guy. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And they continue to go after him. So I'm hoping as a Carolina fan, teams will continue to pitch to him because I think he can hit anybody in the country. But to your point, if they see the guys in front or behind or maybe scuffling a little bit, I don't see him getting a ton of good pitches. The good thing about it, we see the strategy some of these coaches are taking. They're shifting everybody to the left side of second base and saying, here you go, Ethan, take your single to right field. It's the same thing as a walk. Trying to encourage him to not lift the ball, because if he lifts the ball, it's a home run. He's 6'4", 230, whatever he is, and strong as an ox. If he hits the ball in the air, it's going. So they're almost encouraging him to just slap a single to right field. It's the same thing as if we walked him. But to your point, once they get, facing A&M and Tennessee and Arkansas, those pitchers are going to come after him. And I hope they do, because I think he's probably one of the 1 or 2 best hitters to ever play here. Statistically, he's incredible. Great player, great kid. I loved watching the game against Clemson, that weird play at second base where he was sprinting home. If he jogs home, that run doesn't count. It's a 4-1 game instead of a 4-2 game. And that just shows what type of player he is, what type of teammate and person. Somebody of his caliber and stature could easily just have jogged home, thinking it was a for sure thing that Naraki was going to get to second base, and he put his head down and sprinted to home plate. And I think he has all the intangibles. Obviously, he has all the tangibles to be a first-round hitter, play a long time in the big leagues. But to answer your initial question, I'm curious and interested to see how that all shakes out. It's very similar to like high school baseball. High school baseball, usually when you're playing another team, they have one player that can beat you. Don't let that guy beat you. Like when we were playing Bo Hollins, I went to the Blythewood River Bluff State Championship. It was like first and second, 2 outs. Bo was hitting. And I was like, you cannot pitch to him right here. Just put him on. He's the one guy that can beat you. And sure enough, he had opposite field 3-run home run and River Bluff won. So I'm not saying that it's like that here in the SEC or at South Carolina, but Ethan Petrie can, like you said, single-handedly carry an offense.
Yeah, there's no question. We had to do that to Smoke too, and you could only imagine that blank he would talk to me when he knew that we weren't pitching to him. It was a lot of words that I can't repeat on the air. And the other thing with Ethan too is, he craves the big moment. Nobody's ever going to be 100% successful or even 50% successful in those moments in baseball. It's just too hard. Mm-hmm. But I think when the competition gets better, I mean, we saw him his freshman year against LSU turn Paul Skeens around like he'd been doing this at this level for 4 years at that point in time. But I think when you do get into league play and you do get, maybe a couple of pitches in at bat to hit from some of these big arms, I think that makes him better. I think he's looking forward to that. I think he's tired of seeing, 72-mile-an-hour breaking balls and 88 from the left side, maybe, and things like that. I think he's looking forward to seeing 95. Just my hunch on what he's done in his career. And to your point, his makeup. I mean, he dove for that ball in right field last night. He didn't need to do that. You said it on the broadcast the other day about rounding third and coming home. That's just, it's ingrained in him. Like, I'm going to do everything as hard as I possibly can every second that I'm on this field. And when he steps in the box and he sees a guy over there that he might see one day in the big leagues too, I think he takes that personally.
Yeah, I've seen a little more emotion out of him this year than I've seen the previous 2 years. He always kind of struck me as a very even keel guy, but I mean, I've seen him slam his helmet this year after a defender made a great play on him. And, he had a home run last night against the Citadel. The Citadel's a good team, but I mean, he was fired up. I just think he's done everything you could do individually, accolade-wise, statistically. I just think he so badly wants to go to Omaha and go on a deep postseason run that he's very focused this year. But I also I don't want to push back on you a little bit. I feel like he is locked in regardless if he's playing Sacred Heart or if he's playing LSU. It looks like he's the same exact guy every time, takes every at-bat with a lot of precision and focus. But I also, like you said, if he's facing Paul Skeens, he lives for that big moment, and he's just so fun to watch. It's been a joy and a treat watching him. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like we're gonna get to see him for one more year. This will be his last year, or so hopefully we get to see him a lot this year, deep postseason run. But it'll be fun to watch him against some of these high caliber arms that we're going to see week in and out here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's the guy in 20 years you'll be telling your kids about him. I mean, he's Drew Meyer and Ryan Bordenick and Smoke to a lot of people, even though I find that still kind of strange, but it's true. Steve Pierce, Grayson Greiner. I mean, he's that guy. His legacy will live for a long time. All right, I know we got to get you out of here in just a minute. Quick thoughts on the rotation, and the reason I'm asking about this is I think of the three guys that go, the one dude, we probably kind of figured this out last year if he could just get there, who probably you say, well, that's Friday night stuff, is Jake McCoy. And, of course, he was brilliant last weekend against the Clemson Tigers. Of course, SQ has really, I think, done a fantastic job all season long, and he's battled that, some spasms and stuff. And you know what? Becker last week, I know he wants to get more out of himself in that start, but he didn't leave when it was 9-0 or something. Right. I mean, he battled, and he gave them a chance to win the game. So these three guys are your starters, but I was just curious if you had – we haven't heard anything for the weekend, so I was just curious if you had any opinion or idea as to what you think the best-looking rotation is for this group.
It's tough. There's a lot of strategy involved in that. Obviously, SQ's back spasm or back injury shifted the rotation. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a college coach. I don't know if that quick of a turnaround, like, I don't know if they want to get him ready to go back to the Friday night role come the first SEC series, or if he's going to stick in the Sunday role so he can get on his normal rotation. Any way you mix and match those three guys, as long as they stay healthy, I feel pretty good if you're a Carolina fan about those guys getting the ball every 7 days for your weekend rotation. Like you said, Beck didn't have his best stuff on Friday night, but he battled. He kept it manageable. I think he walked 5 guys, which so far this season has been atypical of him. McCoy, we saw it last year, and just something watching him on the mound, you're like, that guy's going to be a dude. And he was a dude on Saturday. He's got incredible stuff. It looks like he's learning to harness it and throw strikes. I think he was at a 67% strike rate on Saturday. When he's 0-2, 1-2 on you as a hitter, it's not fun, because he can go 94, or he can go a very tight slider at 84 down below the zone, which he's done a really good job of not leaving that pitch in the zone and going strike the ball with it. So, and then SQ was phenomenal. His big bugaboo is he hits so many guys. He hits so many righties. If he could find a way to limit that, I mean, he would be incredible, which he already is. He's off to a great start. I love watching him. He comes after guys, sinker, slider. So, like I said, as a Carolina fan, you got to feel pretty good, and fingers crossed that those 3 guys stay healthy and don't catch the injury bug. And they'll give Carolina a chance on a lot of these SEC series if you can keep it close and hope to get the big hit offensively and continue to string together some of those at bats.
Bingo. Don't have to be elite offensively, but you got to hit in crucial moments. Clemson did that from the 7th inning on in all 3 games last weekend, and South Carolina was missing that big bop. I agree with you. I think these starters here are going to give you a chance to win every series you play in.
And I will say, if there is an injury, I really like Brandon Stone. He's kind of that 3-4 inning guy out of the bullpen. He's been incredible. He's fun to watch. He's big body guy, comes right after you, got good stuff. He's got experience as a starter. So not hoping for an injury. I hope those 3 guys make every start every weekend from here on out. But you got to feel good having a guy like that in the wings if you need him.
Yeah, Stone and SQ. God, I hated to catch a dude like SQ. You're like, I think this is going to run away here, but it might not.
Yeah, you saw Coffer had a tough situation. Yeah. He hadn't caught a game yet, and he had some tough shadows, and he had SQ. So that was a tough. He made the adjustments as the game went on, but that was a tough first inning to catch a guy like that with those shadows.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question about it. Look, man, thanks for your time. Yeah. Looking forward. Are you on all 3 this weekend?
I just got Sunday this weekend.
Just Sunday. So Kip Friday, Saturday, and then you Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing you as always. You're doing a wonderful job up there. Keep up the great work, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, tell Dave to stand on a box when y'all come on the air so he doesn't look so short.
He already does.
Well, he's gonna.
I don't want to out him, but it's not a box. It's just a little wooden plank just to get him up there a little bit.
We got to get him a taller one,
or I'll slouch a little bit next time.
Dave's a trooper. He does a great job. Thank you. Thanks, dude.
See you, man.
See ya, Grayson Greiner.